All right, what's going on, you guys? All right, so big fights coming up. Big heavyweight fights were just announced. Okay, recently we heard that Joshua was going to be fighting Pulev a couple weeks back, and then the rumors started last week that Wilder and Ortiz was done and sealed. And we found out today that it's official. Okay, these guys are going to be fighting in New York. Are probably going to end up going to this card because it's shaping up to be a pretty good card. We have Brazil and Stavern on the undercard too. All right, so these fights are all very important. We have Fury fighting Parker this week. All right, I'm expecting Parker to win that fight. Okay, it's just for I'm not going to do a breakdown or anything like that because me personally, I really don't really care for the fight that much. All right, I really don't think Fury's that good. All right, but let's get into these fights that were just announced. Now, I consider the four of these fighters, Wilder, Ortiz, Pulev, Joshua, to be all top five. Okay, Parker, I have him in the top five, but I have him pretty much on the end of the top five. All right, right now I'm a little bit more impressed with Ortiz and Pulev over Joseph Parker. Including Wilder and Joshua. All right. Um, as far as Alexander Povetkin, I would have him in the top five. I just want to see a little bit more now as him being a clean fighter. All right. I want to see how he is consistently as a clean fighter. All right. If he can continue to stay clean and look impressive, then I can rate him or figure out where to rate him. But right now, I don't really know where to rate him, especially just based off his last fight. Really wasn't impressed with his last performance. Okay, earlier this year. All right, so I can't really rate him. I mean, to me, he has potential to be a top three heavyweight. At one point, I had him at the top three. But right now, I don't know where to rate him because I don't know if there's going to be a change in his performances because he's clean now. All right. Um. So Wilder and Ortiz, a fight that we've been waiting for a long time. Did plenty of videos on that. I think this is the harder fight between the two championship fights to discuss. Okay. I think this is a real 50-50 fight, a true 50-50 fight. Um, I think Wilder. You know what? To be honest with you, I actually think this fight. I know we have two heavy hitters here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this went to the decision. Both of these guys slow down. In the second half of the fights, Wilder is the more athletic fighter. Okay, he moves extremely well. He's definitely a lot quicker than Ortiz. I think he has uh, a bigger punch, but that's arguable. You know what? They both have huge punches, so that's not really a factor there. I really don't know how durable Luis Ortiz is. Okay. He seems to be pretty solid. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest defense, but he's pretty good. Um, he's pretty solid defender. He's a pretty good counter puncher. But I don't know how. I really don't know how. Uh, how whether or not he can take Wilder's power. I think that would be a key factor here if he's able to take the right hand and still continue to move forward. Okay, Wilder is the guy that's going to be doing most of the moving throughout the first half of the fight. Wilder does tend to slow down on his legs, and I think that would be um that can lead to trouble for him. Okay, because Ortiz, I consider him to be the better inside fighter. I think he likes to fight and stay on the outside as well because he likes to, his best punch is that straight left hand. But if this is going to be, if clinching becomes a huge part of this fight, I expect Ortiz to hurt Wilder while they're clinching. Wilder is pretty good defensively while clinching because he doesn't fight on the inside. He does not have an inside game, but he's pretty good at tying up. All right. I think Ortiz is very dangerous for Wilder on the inside if they're there. Ortiz, who I don't think is a superb inside fighter, he does have a very, very dangerous uppercut, We see him land it against Bryant Jennings, okay, who is not the best on the inside as well. I mean, he has a lot of dog in him, a lot of volume in him and everything. But I still think as good as Bryant Jennings is, and I believe that Bryant Jennings is probably better than anybody that Wilder has faced, he's still very inexperienced. Okay, he hasn't been boxing that well, and for him to go up and fight guys like Ortiz and a Klitschko really goes to show how fast he moved up and how skillful he was in such a short period of time. But anyway, it's hard to call this one because I think both are capable of stopping the other, and both are capable of winning decisions. Okay, uh, Wilder, what I really believe that he should try to stop Ortiz later than earlier, because Ortiz, even though they're not both great with conditioning, I think Ortiz, if he can wear Ortiz down, he is the older man. Ortiz is a guy that likes to move straight forward, very aggressive. If Wilder can set him up, try to, keep him on the end of his jab, throw the right hand, wear him out early on, and then try to finish him later, rally later on while Ortiz is a lot tired. Wilder has to make Ortiz work, okay? But for a guy his age, Ortiz seemed to still fight well on the second half of his fights, for the ones that I've seen, okay? But he does tire out a little bit, and I think Wilder has to be on point as far as his conditioning in this game, in this fight here, because he's fighting a guy that technically may be a little bit more skillful than him, plus have a bigger punch. All right. So I think Wilder is better off trying to stop him later. I think Ortiz is probably better off trying to stop him earlier. Okay. Before while the energy is there. While Wilder somewhat has slow starts, I think Ortiz needs to take advantage of Wilder's slow starts. We've seen in the last fight against Gerald Washington, Wilder started kind of slow. He also started kind of slow against Spilka. Okay, Wilder, he starts slow, but he is quick. Okay, he is quick. And I'm sure he's going to be doing a lot of moving in that fight. I think Ortiz have issues against movers. We saw in the what's this guy Malik Scott fight, where Ortiz really didn't know how to cut off the ring on Malik Scott. Okay, Malik moved the entire fight, ran the entire fight, and Ortiz really just didn't know what to do. Okay, he was following him around and really had no offense in that fight. All right, so I think both of these guys have a lot of advantages. I definitely want to study both of them more and come to some kind of conclusion on where I'm going with this one. I want Wilder to win, and I want Joshua to beat Pulev because I want them to fight each other. I like those two, so I want them to fight each other. I respect Ortiz as a fighter. I respect Pulev as a fighter. They're both solid fighters, but I'm not a fan of neither one of them. I don't really care. I don't really like. I watch their fights for the channel more so than because I enjoy watching them fight. I like Wilder. I like Joshua, so I want to see them two fight, and I hope the both of them win because that's the bigger fight. Now let's talk a little bit on Joshua against Pulev. I wouldn't say this is a 50-50 fight. I think it's more like maybe 55-45, 60-40 towards Joshua, okay? I think the best part of this fight is that Joshua, or at least the best advantage for Anthony Joshua right now in this fight, is even though Pulev is very dangerous, and I think Pulev is very capable of pulling off an upset here with a jab, I think Joshua's best advantage is that he just fought Vladimir Klitschko, all right, who has a lot of similarities with Pulev, okay? I remember talking about that fight few years ago and predicting that fight and breaking that fight down between Pulev and Klitschko. There were a lot of similarities there between the two. Pulev has an extra uh um uh um a great jab. He has a extraordinary jab. Okay. Um I believe he hurt Klitschko in the first round with his jab. Okay, and that was pretty much the only success he had in that fight. Um Pulev is a guy that, he's gonna outscore you, outpoint you round by round. Okay. In his stoppages, he came on later in the later rounds. I mean, post 8th round, post 8th, 9th round. That's where he's most dangerous. Okay, because he likes to wear you out, and he's not high volume or anything. Okay, doesn't do a lot of movement or anything like that. Um, he likes to just win the jab war against all of his opponents until the later rounds. Okay. A lot of feigning. Okay, a lot of pouring with his jab. Um, but he's a very technical, uh, patient fighter. Okay. Joshua's best bet in this fight is ambushing him. Okay, just like he did with Klitschko. The dangerous part of that is he's going to leave himself open to get countered. And if he's unsuccessful at stopping you after ambushing you, you know, getting you on the ropes and just throwing combinations, he tires himself out. He put himself in a lot of danger against Klitschko. He almost lost the fight against Klitschko because he was so tired. All right. But it took him a couple of rounds to get that second win, catch that second win and come back against Klitschko. I think if he were to do it against Pulev, I think he would have a better chance at beating Pulev, okay? Um, if he were to ambush him and use his size against Pulev. All right, but from a boxer standpoint, he's gonna have a tough time. He could have a tough time against Pulev. All right. I think Pulev has an excellent jab, and Joshua has a good jab, but in certain, like, as far as a technician, Joshua's still a little inexperienced in certain areas. But being that he just prepared and fought Klitschko, it would better it would give him more of an understanding on how to beat a guy like Pulev, because there's so many similarities there. Size, the similarities is just between Pulev and Klitschko. There's a lot of similarities there, all right? And I think that would play somewhat of an advantage. It'll be somewhat familiar to Joshua, if you get what I'm saying. So, I remember having this talk a couple years back when um, we were discussing who would win between Pulev and Anthony Joshua. And I thought maybe a couple years ago, I thought Pulev might have pulled off the upset. And I still think he could, but back then, maybe a couple years ago, I thought it was more like a 50-50 fight. Now I'm thinking, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Joshua, okay? Um, but I'll probably do a more thorough breakdown because I'm going to study both fights and make a more thorough breakdown and come up with an actual prediction. But I got Joshua winning this one. I think Joshua is going to stop Pulev at some point. Uh, and the Wilder Ortiz is a little bit harder to call for me right now. Really, a little bit harder. I want to be sure before I pick a winner of that fight. But these are just my first thoughts. I'm definitely going to make a more thorough breakdown. All right. Anyway, I'm thinking, is there anything else I wanted to speak on? You got Parker fighting Fury this weekend. I don't know who the winner is going to fight. I don't know the winner of this fight, what they're going to do. I have no idea. So I can't even go with where I got Parker winning the fight, but I just don't know where they're going to be in the next fight for them. I don't know if they're going to fight the winner of one of these fights. I have no idea. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I don't expect if both Wilder and if both Wilder and Joshua win these fights, I expect them to fight in 2018. Maybe not even in the very next fight. I expect either one of the winners of Wilder and Joshua to fight a Parker before they fight each other. I think that's like the last thing we're gonna get. I really believe that Wilder and Joshua, so many names, keep thinking of names. Wilder and Joshua is gonna be like the very, very last fight. Weights, all these possibilities. I think there's still gonna be another fight between Parker and one of the other champions before that very, very big fight. All right. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna stop that there. Be on the lookout for a more thorough breakdown of each fight. I just want to watch some film and do some studying before I make a. I think these are two really important fights, so I want to be on point with that video. All right, and make sure you guys hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, I got Lomachenko, Rigo coming up soon. I'm gonna do a thorough breakdown. I know you guys see my video recently on that, but I'm gonna do a thorough breakdown on that fight. All right, see you on the next one. Peace.